Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 10th of October, now it's 15 to 11 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me make a little announcement, if I may. Because today is a big day for our project, this channel, main channel on YouTube, and for me personally, because first time we will have guests on the program, and well, today 5 o'clock I will have live stream, and hosts of Duran show, the Duran channel, and their own personal channels, Alex Cristoforo and Alexander Mercuris will participate in the program. I have many questions, and quite sure interview and discussion gonna be very interesting, and I hope you will find the time to join the live stream. As I said, it will begin 5 o'clock Moscow time. And I will make additional announcements on our community page on YouTube and also on my Telegram page. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to latest reports from Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different platforms, there are no breakthroughs on any one side, on any of the sectors of the front line, although Russian forces are beginning to become significantly active all along the front lines, especially in the central and northern sectors of the front, from let's say Donetsk sector up to Seversk and Kupiansk directions. And according to reports, one may assume that Russian forces definitely are finalizing preparations to conduct large-scale offensive operations, which may take, by the way, place during this autumn. At least that's what some military experts are predicting. Although I'm a little skeptical about autumn Russian offensive, I think it will take place in the winter time. But yet again, I'm no military expert, and I have to take in account what military experts are predicting. So it's quite possible, I guess, that in the next several weeks we will see Russian offensive operation in the northern sectors of the front line from Seversk to Kupiansk, and also in the southern sectors or central sectors of the front line. Of course, I'm talking about Donetsk sector, southern flank of Donetsk sector, city of Avdiivka, also Krasnogorovka area, also Marinka area. And if Russian forces will achieve breakthrough in southern sectors of the Donetsk, southern flank of Donetsk sector, of course, entire defense line of Ukrainian forces in South Donetsk direction will automatically collapse, because they will lose all the logistical means, and well, it will be big defeat, not just militarily but also psychologically for Ukrainian armed forces. And when it comes to Zaporozhye sector of the front line, at this point it's not really surprised that Russian forces are on offensive, local scale offensive, and it seems like Russian troops are preparing local scale offensive operations to finally encircle Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov bridgehead and to force them to surrender or to neutralize them. I guess Ukrainian units in this area have just several days left to flee this territory, otherwise they're gonna find it extremely difficult to do so in after that, in next week or two. And when it comes to Kherson sector of the front line, it's not significant changes. It's usual stuff: artillery duels between the sides, constant struggle for control of the islands on the Dnieper and the delta of the Dnieper river, and the drone wars all along the front line. drone wars all along the front line, in which Russian side also has an upper hand, mainly because of effectiveness of Russian radio-electronic warfare systems. Although time to time Ukrainian forces also are managing to conduct more or less successful drone strikes, especially with FPV drones, these small, cheap copter type of drones. And dear friends, also during the previous night, Russian armed forces conducted yet another wave of drone and missile strikes on logistical and military infrastructure of Kiev regime, and this time main direction of the strikes were Nikolaev and Odessa regions. I did share information about it on my Telegram page, and of course if there will be additional news I will report about it also. And that's it when it comes to short summary of the situation on the battlefield. As I said, there is no significant changes, at least for now, but Russian side definitely is owns initiatives all along the front line, and it's highly likely that in foreseeable future we will see significant activization of Russian armed forces, and pressure on Ukrainian army will increase day by day, and it is increasing day by day. And yes, this is it for short summary. Before I continue with some additional news, let me note that this project with several channels, including this one, exists solely thanks to support of members of our community, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's talk about some other news. And RIA Novosti is reporting about Russian strikes in direction of Odessa region. Also Nikolaev region was targeted, as I said, logistical and military infrastructure in Nikolaev region. And although at this point we don't have some specifications of areas where strikes were conducted, it's highly likely that portal infrastructure in Odessa region was hit, and also in Nikolaev area, although it's quite possible that in Nikolaev direction Russian side targeted yet again some airfields that Ukrainian side is trying to use periodically, and some warehouses with military equipment and ammunition. And also RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian Air Force Aerospace Force did target and destroy bridge in Torskoe area, which is DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, and this information once again indicates that Russian forces are finalizing their preparations for quite large-scale offensive operations, and by targeting bridges, of course, Russian forces significantly disrupting logistical lines of Ukrainian forces, and it is becoming increasingly difficult for Ukrainian units to receive reinforcement, supply of weapons, ammunition, manpower, and so on. At some point, once Russian side will achieve breakthrough in any of the directions, I guess bordering sectors will begin to, on the front line, will begin to collapse in automatically or in a fast rate. And also let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to media, Western media, in this case New Yorker magazine, Biden's administration and Biden himself did make decision to supply ATACMS long-range missiles to Kiev regime in September, and it's only announcement now left about deliveries of these weapons, and you know my take on it. I think these missiles probably already are in Ukraine. because usually what happens is whenever any announcement is made about deliveries of any type of weapons, those weapons already are in Ukraine. And sometimes those weapons are used even earlier than announcement was made. So my guess is that ATACMS missiles have been delivered to Kyiv regime already, and possibly also Taurus long-range cruise missiles from Germany. And it's only announcement left about deliveries of these weapons. But yet again, I hope I'm wrong. And this time, Western so-called elites did not act in this usual manner, and they have not delivered these long-range weapons, because it will be, of course, huge step towards further escalation with Moscow. TASS news agency is also reporting that, according to Deputy Head of NATO Mircea Joane, F-16 fighter jets will fairly soon be delivered to Kyiv regime. I will call it fake news, really. I will call it fake news because it seems like some elements in the Western so-called elite still don't really understand what is going on, what a real plan is of true rulers of the Western world, and they are continuing in this narrative that F-16s will be delivered to Kyiv regime, when it's too obvious, at least to me, that Zelensky and his associates will never have control over the Western-made fighter jets. And only time when we see deployment or introduction of Western fighter jets to the battlefield will be when a number of NATO member states, first of all Poland, Romania, Hungary, possibly Slovakia, and some other NATO states that will participate in this operation, will begin to establish control over the western regions of Ukraine and establishing no-fly zone over that area. That's it. And of course, those fighter jets will be operated by NATO pilots and under flag of NATO member states. Zelensky will have no control over those fighter jets whatsoever. But yet again, because of this escalation in Middle East between Palestine and Israel, of course, attention have been shifted from Ukraine significantly, well, these type of informations are just attempt to somewhat keep relevant in the media topic of Kyiv regime and Ukraine. But anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that administration of USA, Biden's administration, is considering to combine financial and military support of Ukraine and Israel, and this way achieve from Congress permission or to receive votes, money and weapons to be delivered to Kyiv regime again. Well, it may work, of course, but overall I'm quite sure, and there is too many indicators to think so, that major Western capitals are beginning to distance themselves from Kyiv regime, from entire this Ukrainian crisis, and are preparing ground now for full-scale disintegration of this failed state, which will be basically divided between its neighbors, and therefore even though this process will take some time, and Western major capitals will distance themselves step by step, and for foreseeable future, money and weapon supply will continue to give levels, or volume will decrease significantly. Volume will decrease significantly, and even if this idea of White House receives support from Congress, which is questionable, by the way. Eventually, it's just too obvious that it's only a matter of time when Washington, London, Brussels, Berlin, Paris will finally distance themselves from Kyiv regime, from Zelensky, and so on. Fate of modern Ukraine is sealed. This state will no longer exist after this conflict will end. There will be no such state on political map, and major part of Ukraine will become under Russian control, and as a result of some referendums and so on, probably will join Russia, and western regions of Ukraine will become under control of western neighbors of Ukraine, and that's it. And the situation is moving in this direction, slowly but surely. And also RT is reporting that Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has called on the members of NATO bloc to expand and deepen the commitments to Ukraine in its ongoing conflict with Moscow. Yet again, this person, Danish Prime Minister, definitely not in the ranks of top puppets of true rulers of the Western world. She is a kind of manager of middle level, and she definitely has no idea what is going on really. And well, probably she wants some media attention, and she's coming up with such a statement, and that's it. This statement means nothing for nobody, but yet again, attempt from Danish Prime Minister to bring some attention to herself and also to Ukraine, because it's just too obvious that Western media, not just Western media, by the way, or worldwide media, but even in Russia, significant time in media are devoted to this unfolding crisis in Middle East between Israel and Palestine. And of course, Ukraine is losing this attention and desperately tries to somehow stay relevant. I'm talking about Kyiv regime, and well, unfortunately, it is highly likely that because of this lack of attention from the world, and especially from the Western world, Zelensky's regime may conduct some massive provocations, and well, I hope Russian side is ready for such a possibility. And we had discussion about it yesterday during the live stream. And dear friends, if you have not seen it yet, you can see yesterday's my live stream, which was very interesting. You can see it.
Is that Ukrainian forces are losing morale?
It's visible on the frontal page of a YouTube channel,
fighting spirit,
YouTube
because
channel, and also you can click
information
live category here, and all live streams are visible. Hopefully you will find time to watch yesterday's live stream, and you will find it interesting. But let's continue now. Let's continue with some additional news. And the TASS news agency is reporting now. Next topic is, of course, conflict with between Palestine and Israel. And the Pentagon did warn Hamas and Iran, by the way, to stay out of this conflict, reported by Reuters. And we have statement from Charles Brown, who is head of general staff of US, although it calls name of it sounds differently. Let me translate it, by the way. So the head of US Army Chief of Staff, Charles Brown, that's his title, did call for Iran and of course Hamas, not Hamas but Hezbollah, sorry, Lebanese Hezbollah, to stay out of this conflict. And well, at this point there is no indications that any of these two sides are planning to get fully involved in this confrontation with Israel. Iranian officials did make several statements at this point that they have nothing to do with this escalation in Israel and between Israel and Palestine, and they are not intended to get involved. Although, if Iran is attacked, then of course Iran will respond with heavy hand. That's statements that we are hearing from Iran. And when it comes to Hezbollah, even though there was border line skirmishes between Hezbollah fighters and Israeli fighters, as a result of which yesterday 4 Hezbollah fighters died, according to some reports, and Hezbollah did fire back at Israel in revenge. At this point, as I said, there is no indications that Hezbollah is planning to get fully involved in this confrontation. My understanding is that this organization, Lebanese organization, political and military organization, will stay out of this conflict, as Iran will, and every other regional player, let's say. Although it's quite possible that on the borderline between Israel and Lebanon, there will be some exchange of fire between Hezbollah and Israeli forces. But I don't think we will see full-scale war between Israel and Lebanon or Israel and Hezbollah. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that one of the leaders of Hamas did make a statement. This information is from this morning, that organization Hamas did achieve all its goals during this invasion in Israel, and well, they are ready now for peace talks. That's a statement that was reported by Al Jazeera, by the way. Musa Abu Marzouk, this high-ranking official in Hamas, did make this statement during the interview with Al Jazeera. We have no response at this moment, as I'm recording this update from Israeli side, but I think leadership of Israel will ignore this call for ceasefire or peace talks from Palestine, because in my understanding, Israeli side is getting ready to continue and intensify confrontation, this military conflict, and in my understanding, it's almost inevitable that Israel will fully occupy, or at least will try to fully occupy, Gaza Strip. And if West Bank will get involved, West Bank also. And if that's the case, then I'm afraid humanitarian catastrophe will evolve in the Gaza Strip, and hundreds of thousands of residents will be forced to flee, if not millions, by the way, will be forced to flee to Egypt, most likely, because Egypt is directly bordering with the Gaza Strip. And eventually we may see some kind of Karabakh scenario in this region, when after successful operation of one side, opposite side is civilians from opposite side are forced to flee areas, like it happened in Karabakh. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, Netanyahu did make statement that Israel will definitely win in this confrontation, and not just win, but Israel will achieve such a victory that will change entire Middle East. So very strong statements are coming from Israeli leadership, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, which once again indicates that Israeli side is just beginning to conduct its military operations. And well, if the world gets involved and somehow influences the situation to end hostilities immediately, that will be best, of course, solution right now, because otherwise, as I just said, if Israel will continue this operation and occupy Gaza Strip, I'm afraid eventually residents of Gaza Strip will be forced to flee that area, and region will become empty, mainly empty from local residents. Majority will be forced to flee for safety in Egypt or maybe in some other countries if Israel will allow some humanitarian corridors. Also, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Israel, according to Ambassador of Israel in Russia, Alexander Ben-Tzvi, Israel at this point has no knowledge that Hamas is using weapons from Ukraine. TASS news agency was asking this question to Ambassador, as I understand, and this topic is relevant at this moment because many officials and many media persons are talking about Ukrainian weapons in hands of Hamas or Palestinian fighters, including former president of Russian Federation and current deputy chairman of Security Council Dmitry Medvedev, who did wrote post about this topic in his Telegram. And well, it's good that TASS news agency did ask Israel's ambassador about it, and he said that at this point Israel has no factual information that Hamas or Palestinian fighters are operating with Ukrainian weapons, with weapons that were supposed to be in Ukrainian hands and was delivered to Ukraine from NATO member states and then was sold on the black market, including to Hamas. Let's continue. Although, by the way, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised because when we are talking about Kyiv regime, we should always keep in mind that this regime is most corrupt regime in Europe for sure, and one of the most corrupt regimes in the world, and they are selling everything. So it's highly likely that they sold some Western weapons also, and maybe Soviet type of weapons that they had in ammunition depots, because you know we are talking about Kyiv regime, by the way. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Human Rights Watch did made a statement about situation in Middle East between Israel and Palestine, and they said that both sides, Israel and Hamas, are conducting war crimes, which is true, by the way, which is definitely true. We all see these horrific videos and photos from both sides about this unimaginable horror that is taking place in conflict zone. Hundreds and hundreds of civilians are dead from both sides. It's tragedy. It's tragedy, and both sides definitely are committing war crimes, no doubt about that, and crimes against humanity. By the way, it's shocking what they are doing there. RIA Novosti is reporting that well, official representative of Biden. Well, dear friends, just now breaking news in real time from RIA Novosti. Let me read this information. So it seems like Russian ambassador in Israel did confirm that did confirm information about the death of a second Russian citizen in Israel as a result of these clashes between Israel and Palestine. And also, by the way, there are reports that 4 Russian citizens are missing. And Russian embassy is unable to establish their location. But let's continue with news. And official representative of White House, John Kirby, Admiral John Kirby, did make a statement about Israeli-Palestine conflict, and he said that there's no one has interest in deepening this conflict or widening this conflict between Israel and Palestine. And by this statement, I guess White House is articulating that they are not in position to blame Iran or any other regional power in involvement of the in this crisis, and they want these sides to stay out of this conflict. That's how I read this information. And as I said yesterday in my live stream, during the live stream, my understanding is that all third parties will stay out. All regional powers will stay out of this conflict. There will be strong statements and so on, but no one will get involved full scale militarily in this confrontation. But by the way, same time, it's good that official representative of White House is making such a statement, because some media personalities and even high-ranking officials in US are coming out with some crazy statements. Nikki Haley, for example, and some other these candidates in presidency from Republicans, they are making some stupid statements on daily basis. And also Lindsey Graham, by the way. Lindsey Graham, this neocon warmonger is almost on daily basis are demanding that Iran should be attacked by Israel and US, and some refineries should be destroyed in Iran. Is this person is really that crazy? Question is, I mean, it seems like if you ask him about, I don't know, man, about weather or time, what time is now, probably he will answer, it's now let's strike Iran. It's time to strike Iran and some refineries. If you ask him what weather is now, it's I mean, answer gonna be, let's strike Iran. This person has some obsession with Iran. He's definitely sick individual. When you listen to him, you will not get expression that he is mentally fit. I mean, definitely inadequate. And that person is a senator in US, by the way, high-ranking senator, if I'm not mistaken, and quite influential. So that's a shame on US, by the way, when you have such a crazy people, really crazy people, by the way, in Senate, Congress, and so on. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that White House is denying claims that Pentagon is planning to send its military personnel to Israel or to Middle East. Well, that's quite a strange statement, because recently, day before yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, there were reports that aircraft carrier striking group will be sent to shores of Israel, and that's already Middle East, and that's military personnel. And also there were reports that some 20 to 25 F-35 fighter jets and F-15 fighter jets will also be deployed into Middle East, and that's also military personnel. And well, and this statement is from John Kirby, by the way. that US is not intending to send military personnel in Middle East. Maybe he is confused somewhat. I don't know. Maybe he is too bad in geography of Middle East. But statement itself is quite strange. And just a few minutes ago, I did share this video on my Telegram channel, for example, with US transport plane in Israel. You can clearly see US Air Force written on the plane, and I guess US military personnel and some weaponry probably already are in Israel. And when it comes to Middle East, US never left Middle East, so what John Kirby is talking about. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to statements of Palestinian ambassador in Russia, sites are in the work now to prepare visit of Mahmoud Abbas, president of Palestine, to Moscow, and this visit may take place in fairly short time. Once again, this information highlights that despite all the attempts from Western so-called elites to somehow isolate Russia and so on, Russia is still major player when it comes to global or regional events. Also interesting news, RIA Novosti is reporting that Hezbollah did made a statement that they did strike back on Israel. I did report about it several minutes ago, that they did strike Israel in response of death of the several fighters during the border clashes. There were some reports that Israeli Apache helicopter was striking border lines in Lebanon, and probably during that attack Hezbollah fighters were killed. And yesterday afternoon there were some rumors were circulating in internet that Hezbollah is mobilizing some 10,000 its military personnel next to Israeli border, and full-scale war is inevitable and so on between Hezbollah and Israel. But I'm skeptical of this news, and I'm skeptical that Hezbollah will get involved in this conflict with full strength. But borderline skirmishes and some battles between the sides, local scale battles, will probably take place, as it did happen yesterday and the day before. And TASS news agencies are reporting that Biden did made statement that at this point it's known that 11 US citizens died in Israel as a result of current escalation. And also, by the way, many citizens of many dozens of countries died during this escalation from all around the world. For example, we have a TASS news agency information here that seven Argentinian citizens died in Israel as a result of this escalation. Also, there were reports that French citizens also were killed. Citizens of some African nations and some nations from Indo-Pacific regions. So it's it's tragedy. It's tragedy. It's hundreds and hundreds of locals. At this point, thousands of locals are dying, and also, of course, guests of Israel and Palestine. TASS news agency is reporting that Russian ambassador in Israel, yes, I did already report about this. It was known that one Russian citizen died, but a few minutes ago, RIA Novosti did reported that it's confirmed that a second Russian citizen had been killed during this escalation. TASS news agency is also reporting that Central Bank of Israel will sell on auction some $30 billion to stabilize shekel, which already lost 2% or even more of its value when it comes to exchange rate with US dollars. And well, according to this information, Israel's central bank only has about $200 billion in reserves, which I find strange. Quite a low number for Israel. I was expecting that they have something like 500-700 billion, but not, only 200 billion in reserve of central bank, which is probably enough to somewhat stabilize local currency. And also, by the way, RIA Novosti is reporting some news from other regions now, this time from Southern Caucasus, from Georgia. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Georgian TV channel Rustavi 2 had an interview with official representative of Georgia's security service, Huicha Begiashvili, and he was asked about risks of destabilization of country by certain groups, and if that risk is still remaining. And I remind you that about months ago, Georgian security service did make statement that several groups in Georgia and outside of Georgia are planning destabilization of country and regime change, including with use of weapons. And during the interview with Rustavi 2 TV station, Huicha Begiashvili did confirm that threat is still remaining, and Georgia's security service is actively working to neutralize all the risks to stability of the country, to security of its citizens. And well, let's hope they are successful. Because I remind you that Georgian security service did accuse former deputy of the head of Georgia's interior ministry, during the Saakashvili ruling, Georgi Lord-Kipanidze, also bodyguard of Saakashvili, Mikhail Baturin, and also current leader of so-called Georgian Legion that is fighting alongside of Kiev regime, Mamuka Mamulashvili, to prepare this provocation. So Georgian security forces did accuse these individuals to be involved in preparation of this provocation with use of weapons to conduct regime change in Georgia. And this is very significant because in one case we are talking about former deputy head of interior ministry during the Saakashvili's presidency, who of course and who is, by the way, same time deputy of Ukraine's military intelligence. So he definitely has in its hands means to conduct operations, some military-grade operations. And we are talking about Mamuka Mamulashvili, who is a leader of Georgian Legion. And he definitely has weapons and manpower to conduct some military provocations. So Tbilisi, official Tbilisi and Georgian security services definitely have every reason to be cautious and to conduct all necessary operations to neutralize any threat that is coming to Georgia from Ukraine, from these individuals and people that they are in control of, and also from, let's be clear, by the way, from US mainly, because Ukraine's military intelligence is controlled by CIA, and by this Ukraine's military intelligence controls this Georgian Legion. So we can clearly see direct path towards CIA. But Georgian government is cautious. Of course, they cannot directly and openly blame CIA and Washington to be involved in attempts of destabilize Georgia and conduct regime change, but it's clear, it's just clear to everybody that it is the case. But let's hope Georgian government will deal with all the risks for stability of country and residents and citizens of Georgia. Let's continue. RT is reporting that Baltic Sea gas pipeline was shut down over suspected leak. That's quite interesting. This pipeline goes from Finland to Estonia. And according to latest reports, engineers are working to deal with this issue. And by the way, when I was reading this information, first thoughts was that they're gonna blame Russia. They definitely gonna blame Russia. If leak is more or less serious, if it's some nothing special, then that's one thing. But it's if it's something that will take time to repair, then I'm quite sure both states, Finland and Estonia, will blame Russia for this. No doubts about that. They are blaming Russia for everything, by the way. So, of course, they will blame Russia for this pipeline also. But at this point, no statements was made because gas is still pumping. They did probably increase pressure in pipe to make sure that gas flow is not stopping. Or they may find some other ways. There may be some reserve pipeline. But let me read it for you. An undersea gas pipeline connecting Finland and Estonia is temporarily out of service after gas system companies in both countries observed an unexpected drop in pressure, likely caused by a leak, its operator have said. And I do not want to speculate at all on the cause of the leak. Jane Greenland, a senior executive of Finnish energy firm Gasgrid, told Reuters on Sunday. He added that gas supplies remained stable and that measures had been taken to isolate the pipeline to prevent further gas from escaping. So they somehow managed. I'm not engineer, I don't know how they did it, but they somehow managed to continue gas supplies to Estonia, probably through some other means, some other pipeline, and this pipeline will be repaired. But I would not be surprised if we will see some claims that it was Russia. After all, Western so-called elites blame Russia for Nord Stream pipelines, for sabotage or international act of terrorism or Nord Stream pipelines, which was conducted by USA, by the way. But Western so-called elites did blame Russia for this, and some people still are blaming Russia. So, and this is gonna be last news for today's first update. RT is reporting that foreign brands turn to Russian market. Many brands from Australia, South Korea, even Estonia, by the way, about which I was just talking about, and from many other countries, and they did find this way to avoid Western pressure. They are creating new brands. And under these new brands are establishing their businesses in Russia, which is good for everybody, really. It's good for Russian economy and it's good for these foreign companies. And this trend will, of course, continue. Business will always find a way to operate in lucrative markets. And the Russian market is quite big and interesting to attract biggest companies in this world. Just every company, really. And that's it for today's update. Hopefully you will find this video interesting. Plenty of news. plenty of news. And well, how long is this video? 49 minutes. Okay, hopefully you will find this update interesting, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. More likes and comments supposed to help with to deal with YouTube's algorithm to reach wider audience. And for very same reason, if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on. This is it for now. Before I go, let me thank you all again for your time, attention and support. Have a great day and take care. See you at 5 o'clock Moscow time, dear friends. I hope you will find time to join a live stream with Alex Cristoforo and Alexander Mercuris. Take care.